Explain what you understand happened and who were the shooters.
Well, according to the official account of what happened and the description also from eyewitnesses, around 12 p.m. At noon, two men not wearing any military attire, as the first description of the events were saying. They were in plain clothes, normal civilian clothes, holding Kalashnikov, entered into the main entrance, running into the main entrance of the big door to the museum, which is also the same door to the parliament. And they, after a while, they started shooting immediately at the tourists. After shooting outside in the parking lot, they went inside the museum and took hostages and shot them as well. In the meantime, the security forces were trying to liberate the hostages and launched the anti-attack operation on the two people, the two gunmen, and at 3 they declared that the operation was over and that they killed the two gunmen. Unfortunately, when the people and security forces went inside, they discovered a very ghastly picture of what happened, because there were many more people who were killed than what was initially expected or envisaged.
Amna, can you talk about the location of the museum next to the Parliament building and what was happening inside the Parliament building? Did the shooters, the attackers, attempt to go into Parliament before they went to the museum?
There are two entrances to the Parliament. One entrance is really the entrance to the Parliament, and there is a back door entrance, and this is the entrance from which is linked and adjacent to the Bardo Museum. So what they did is, there is a big door which is open. There are usually security guards, but apparently the two gunmen went inside running. They were not stopped by anyone. And then so the Bardo Museum, which is the location of the largest historical and archaeological artifact of the Roman Empire, one of the largest in the world, is very close and adjacent. It's the same building, basically. Part of the building is dedicated to the parliament and to the assembly of the representatives of the people. So the Tunisian parliament, that's what the name of the parliament is. And the other part is the museum. And they are communicating, there are communicating doors. And what happened is that, so they entered inside the big door, where there is the entrance and then the parking lot. In front of the parking lot, there is the main door to the museum. They opened fire on the tourists coming out of the buses and the tourist cars, and going inside to the museum. They opened fire on them. They left 8 people dead then, and then they went inside the museum. Now, there are also some information from one of the main Twitter account of the local branch of Al-Qaeda in Tunis, which has kind of claimed the responsibility for the attack and gave a very detailed account and description of what happened and the names of the two gunmen, and said that their original intent was to target the parliament and to target the representatives, the MPs, but that when it became impossible to do that, they turned into the other target, which were the tourists, the closest target to them and the easiest one, since it was not protected at all, at least not to the level that it should have been.
Amna, the members of parliament at the time were debating anti-terrorism legislation?
The parliament is indeed reviewing and now reviewing a draft legislation on anti-terrorism. This draft has been submitted already to the previous parliament, so the National Constituent Assembly, and they started voting and discussing it since July 2014. Then they stopped. They voted on several articles and they stopped. What happens now is that there is a new draft which is normally will be submitted by the Ministry of Interior and the Ministry of Justice to the new parliament. We don't know yet what is the content of this law and whether it has some of the flaws of the previous anti-terrorism law of 2003, whether it has harsher sentences or harsher anti-terrorism operation exceptional powers to the security forces. This is what the human rights community in Tunisia fears, is that in the aftermath of this attack there will be a more tightening of the security apparatus around anti-terrorism operation and sweeping anti-terrorism operations that could lead to some backsliding on rights. And the anti-terrorism law is really at the heart of this challenge and at the heart of the stakes in Tunisia between the different political forces, and it's a political debate that will now become really central, because many people are calling for the enactment of a harsher law, of a law that would lead obviously to establishing the death penalty against the alleged people allegedly linked with terrorism. Now the death penalty in Tunisia, there is a moratorium on it since '91. There is no one who was executed since that date. There are lots of elements now in the aftermath of the attack that could lead to a possible backsliding on rights, but this is a fear only, and it's not a reality yet.